Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, everyone, whatever your preference is. So, welcome back to Let's Follow Magellan's Route in Silent Hunter 4. I don't have too much to talk about. Hopefully I'll fill up a good 30 minutes, which actually reminds me I need to start a timer. I haven't made too many videos in the past couple of weeks, years, months, days, seconds, hours, whatever, yeah. I haven't done anything in a while. I've just been busy like a fool, like nobody's business. Busy like nobody's business. Oh, where'd the bloody timer go? Clock, where is it? There we go. So, let's see here. Alright, there we go, good. Alright, so, speaking of which, the other week I took my Surface Pro 3 in to get it serviced, because thankfully it was still under warranty, so it was 12 days from the warranty expiring, so I had some time to go in and get it serviced for free. Yeah. Anyway. So I'm like, yeah, it's getting stuck on the Surface splash screen when I boot it up. It's having problems booting up to the login screen and all that, so. Excuse me. Anyway, so they ended up keeping it for a while, you know. And hopefully fixing it. But it seems to be working now. I got it back. Hopefully I don't have too many more problems with it. Yeah, like I mentioned before, I think the Microsoft Surface has some quality control issues, I strongly suspect. And these problems, I guess, are not uncommon with other people's Surface tablets as well, so yeah. And yeah, but that's what you get from, you know, from switching from an iPad. Anyway, but fetch that. Well, I guess the good news is I don't keep anything confidential or sensitive on my tablet. Yeah. So basically, I just use it to read, yeah, surf the internet, read emails, stuff like that. So there's nothing. There's literally like nothing on it. Maybe a few apps, but that's it. So, that was that. I didn't have that for a week. So I had to do a lot of my notes by hand, which is kind of a funny story. I was in the library during the week that I didn't have my Surface, and yeah, I was taking notes by hand, the old-fashioned way, you know, with like a notebook and a pencil and some paper and a book and all that. Yeah, I thought my hand was gonna break. It's like, yeah, you know, haven't worked out those particular muscles in my hand very recently, huh? So maybe I should do that again. Maybe I should, yeah. Maybe I should get one of those like those gripper thingies. Yeah, that you like sit around and like squeeze. It's like basically a big spring that you squeeze and it strengthens the muscles in your hand and your forearm and all that and your wrist. So yeah, you'll find them at like sports stores or whatever. So you know what I'm talking about? Those little like vice grip thingies. They're not really vices, but yeah. I should get those. So anyway, yeah. Speaking of doing a lot of writing, I've been doing a lot of writing. I've been doing a lot of studying. Darn near every waking hour, almost. I'm studying. Because I've officially begun the process for applying to graduate school. Yes, indeedy. Yeah, that'll be fun. So, yeah, grad school. Oh boy, oh boy. Well, I got a number of the hard stuffs out of the ways. Well, except one or two, but... So I got all my transcripts, that's good. Um, yeah, I got my resume and everything. I need to write up like an essay. So, which of course has some really nebulous and vague essay prompt, Tell us about the most whatever in your life and relate to how it affected your education and blah, 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 yada, yada, yada. So I got to write up something about that. The biggest hurdle, though, that I have to do is I do have to take a subject matter test. Because I'm applying to a Master of Arts teaching program, an MAT program, so I can become a master at teaching in the arts. Yeah. So, but basically, since, well, for one, I don't want to teach elementary school, I won't be taking like that broad general test that elementary school teachers take. I have to take basically anything middle school on up, you have to take a specific subject matter test to get, an endorsement in the particular subject that you want to teach. So I have been busting my butt basically for the past year, actually, studying history. Yeah. And I should more than likely get more than one endorsement, so I don't know, maybe I should do it in like English or something. But which is funny because I spent a lot of time tutoring math specifically, so it makes me wonder, would I be able to like pass the math, like the basic algebra subject test or something? I would hope so, but I don't know. With these tests, you basically need to score an 80% or higher to pass them, so yeah, but I think hopefully once I'm ready, I'll take that sucker, and it's not terribly long, it's just, I don't know. I have a study guide for it, but the study guide is all but worthless. Yeah. It's basically like, oh, know your history from like the beginning of time. It's like, oh, really? What exactly do you want me to know? So, yeah. Well, yeah. So, let me see. The Great Migration around the Ice Age of like what, 10,000 BC or whatever is when human beings start spreading out, and before that you had the Paleolithic and the Neolithic eras, and within the Neolithic era there was the Bronze Age and then the Iron Age, and man started using tools and rocks and all that stuff, and he figured out this thing called, like an adze, like a little, basically like a little stone knife, and how to nap stone tools and all that. Communicate with grunts and growls. Yeah, so anyway. So, and what else? Like, oh yeah, the start of civilizations in like Mesopotamia and China and Europe and all that. Yeah, Egypt. Let's not forget the Egyptians. Yep. Building in the Great Pyramids. The Indus Valley as well, around northwest India. Babylon. Hammurabi's Code. All that good stuff, yeah. And that's just like, we're still in the BC era, essentially. We haven't even gotten into Anno Domini, the AD period, so... Yeah. So, anywho's, yeah. Then, of course, you get into, like, the Middle Ages, right? So, the Middle Ages, oh, yes, of course, I'm forgetting the ancient civilizations like Greece and Rome. Oh, you can't forget those people, huh? Yep. Greece, Rome... Yep. And of course you have like the Byzantine Empire, Constantinople. Yes, indeed. So the Byzantines, they had a very, very strong navy, which is one of the reasons why they were able to accumulate a lot of territory and all that. They had a very successful navy. So, yep. And that's kind of the Middle Ages, the Crusades. Yep. Yeah, then the Renaissance, all that good stuff. Columbus sails the ocean blue. Ferdinand Magellan, we might have heard of that guy. I'm just rattling off random events in history. Yeah. French Revolution, the American Revolution, the French Revolution. Yeah. The founding of the British and the Dutch East India companies. Not necessarily in that order. Yeah. Yep. And that time back in the day when, that political scandal with President Clinton and Monica Lewinsky, and that had great, huge international effects back in the year 1352 and a half, point decimal 3, whatever. Yeah, so I know my history, totally. Anyway. So, there's that. Alright, well, moving on. I got a kind of a interesting comment. I'm pretty sure I deleted, though. But this person left a comment in Spanish, in Español, and it said, "Hablas como un retrasado." Now, I don't really speak Spanish, but I can use Google Translate. And simply put, that translates apparently to, "You talk like a retard." Well, yeah, I know that. But for some reason, this person felt compelled to write it in Spanish. I don't know. I don't know why. I don't speak Spanish. I don't think I've ever spoken Spanish on this channel. I've spoken Japanese, I'll tell you that much. Maybe a smidgen of French or something, but yeah, anyway. Well, there's that. I mean, I was debating about replying to the comment in like another language, like Japanese or something, but I'm like, yeah, don't feed the trolls. Yeah, don't feed the trolls. So, anyway, in other unfortunate news, of course, recently, Bill Paxton passed away after complications following surgery, which is very unfortunate, at the ripe age of 61. Yeah, Bill Paxton died. So, very unfortunate. I mean, it's not unlike other, I guess, like, oh yeah, it's basically like Carrie Fisher, Yeah, but it's not like other older actors, right? But yeah, Bill Paxton died. Always playing the characters in various movies. So, always kind of a loudmouth funny man. That was Bill Paxton for you. I actually made a list of all the movies that I can easily remember him from. Like, for example, we got Aliens, where he played Hudson. Game over, man. Game over. Yeah. Oh, boy. We loved him as Hudson. Another one where he worked with James Cameron was True Lies, where he played Simon, the used car salesman. Yeah. She's like all these other babes. You get their pilot lit, they can start a leaf blower. Oh, yeah. He's riding around with Arnold Schwarzenegger in that Corvette. Yeah. And he's like totally just like a fraud. He's like trying to pass himself off as some kind of spy or whatever. And we say op, covert op. Things get hairy. I might have to leave suddenly. This is the safe house, and it's like a trailer or whatever. Funny guy. Yeah. True Lies. He was good in that one. Then, of course, another James Cameron movie, Titanic. He had a small part in that, though. Yeah. Then Twister, a Jan de Bont film about, well, twisters and tornado hunters. So, with Helen Hunt. So, that was okay. And yet another James Cameron movie, Terminator 1. A lot of people don't even recognize that he's in that movie. He's like, wait, where is he in Terminator 1? Well, he's right after the Terminator arrives in the past, he comes across those, like, 3 thugs. Yeah. And Bill Paxton's the one with spiky blue hair, and he's got, like, a tire tread mark down the side of his face. I think this guy's a couple beers short of a 6-pack. Your clothes. Give them to me. Yeah. 24/7, 365 instantaneous mass media. I've been thinking more about media sensationalism and all that, given our current state of affairs in the United States of America. So, and I guess I don't mind the media so much as I don't like the overt sensationalism of it. You know what I mean? So, like, I don't watch the news on TV, and I rarely watch it on the internet either. And what I mean is, like, I don't watch a video. Some news broadcaster, some talking head coming on, oh, tonight on the 6 o'clock news, yada, 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 landslides here, thunderstorms there, 5 killed, mass murderer here, So, yeah, the language and tone of the reporters and the news anchors, if you really just, like, don't listen to what they're saying, but listen to how they're saying it, it's usually pretty biased, and the thing is that it's overtly meant to be sensationalist and emotionally manipulative. You know what I mean? So, like I said, I've talked about media sensationalism before, but, again, it's so simple. It's simple psychology, because it has to grab your attention. If it bleeds, it leads. And I guess my problem is that you're basically being spoon-fed your information while you just sit passively and are more or less told what to think and what to feel, right? And I guess I don't like that. I'm not a 5-year-old. I don't need to be spoon-fed my information here. I can get it myself, right? So, and then I was discussing with some teachers that I work with, like, contrast a news broadcast where they have to cram multiple news stories down into, like, seconds of broadcast time, right? So you're watching, like, the 6 o'clock or the 10 o'clock news or whatever on TV. They have to cram all these stories down into seconds. Now, compare that to the few minutes it'll take you to read, like, a 2 to 3 page news article, like, on the internet, say from whoever, I don't know, like BBC or Reuters or AP or whoever, yeah. So, yeah, take your pick. So, yeah, versus the couple minutes it takes you to read a news article in the paper or whatever, versus the weeks or whatever that it'll take you to read, like, a good-sized book on the subject. Now, compare that, of course, to, like, say, the roughly 10 years they say that it takes to develop in-depth knowledge of a particular field. In other words, to roughly become an expert or to become really knowledgeable on something. So, yeah, seconds of broadcast time, minutes of reading a news article, weeks of reading a book, say, like, I don't know, a 300 to 400 page book, versus years to develop strong, in-depth knowledge of a topic. So, guess which one you're gonna get more information from, right? So, me personally, if I have to take my news quickly, then I usually can, like, speed read about 3 to 4 news articles in about 10 minutes and get a better picture of something than 30 seconds of TV, which is why I avoid television broadcasts. And there's still an issue of news articles being biased, and emotionally manipulative, right? So, I guarantee you, even news sources that are known to be fairly balanced, like BBC or Reuters or whatever, even those, I guarantee you, at some point in time, there's going to be some bias is going to creep in, right? So, yeah, that's why you read multiple articles. That's why there's a point where you just have to learn to detach yourself emotionally from what you read and just read for the facts. The who, what, where, when, why, and maybe the how. And once you learn to do that, it becomes much easier and you get less worked up over it. So, and I guess my point is that hopefully in learning to detach yourself, especially I'm talking about myself as well, once I learn to detach myself from the emotional manipulation, then I therefore jump to fewer conclusions and, you make less snap judgments. And especially when you're given really nebulous information. And a lot of news articles out there really won't tell you a whole lot when you actually read them. Like, if I were to sit down, go on, like, a news feed site and read 3 to 4 articles on the same subject and like sit there like literally with like a pen and paper and write down the who, what, where, when, why, and how, I guarantee you most of them will say like the exact same thing. It's just that they're padded out with rhetoric and different words, right? So, yeah. Congressman such and such said this, did this at this time, yesterday, or whatever, you know, with so-and-so and blah, blah, you know? So, yeah. I guarantee you, if you just read for like the 5 W's, the who, what, where, when, why, and the how, you know, again, I say the how there tentatively, but read for the 5 W's, I guarantee you most of these things will say the exact same thing. In which case, it almost defeats the purpose of reading multiple articles, but yeah. The difference comes in the details. Some are a bit more detailed and a bit more well written than others. So, yeah. I guess it just goes to say, you know, always consider your sources, where you're getting your information from. So, yeah. Yeah, boy. Yeah. So, anyway, but of course, you know, when you start talking about like reading books, you know, books are more time consuming, and even books, of course, can be biased. So that's why you gotta look for the reputable ones, right? The really in-depth, really well-written ones. Usually written by people who have taken a long time to write because they've taken so much time to do their research on a topic. So that's that's one reason why I don't read any like kind of current events books, because it's like, really, it's like that just happened like a month ago and already there's like a 300-page book out on it. What could you possibly know? I know, like in depth about it. So I don't know. Yeah, and it's, you know, again in like bookstores, like everybody publishes their memoir or whatever. So yeah, everybody publishes a book. You know, gets a book deal, publishes their memoir, publishes their latest pet theory on current events or whatever. It's like, yeah, okay, whatever. So, yeah. So, there's that. Anyway, let's say that, I guess let's try a little example here. Let's say I'm a news anchor, and I say, recent studies show that the area of a parallelogram is the base times the height, and recent research shows that it causes cancer in every child below the age of 12. That's right, people. Yep. Parallelograms. The area of a parallelogram is the base times the height, and it causes cancer in children below 12 years old. Scientists at the University of Alternate Facts say that parallelograms are now carcinogenic. So, that probably took me less than 30 seconds to tell you. So compare this with the few minutes it takes to actually read about parallelograms in like a math textbook and learn about their shape and the theorems surrounding it, right? So now compare that with the time it takes to become like, I don't know, a geometry teacher or a mathematician. So yeah, that part about cancer and 12-year-old children dying, it's catchy, right? But it's sensationalist and it's bullcrap. Yeah. So like I said, you know, the annoying thing is that news broadcasts tell you what to think. And more importantly, how to feel. It's emotional manipulation, right? So I guess it all kind of depends on how easily emotionally manipulated you are. Right? I can't begin to tell you how many times, like, my mother especially, she watches the news, right? And I'll get like a phone call or whatever, and she's like, hey, I just saw on the news, blah, 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 you know, this and this and this, you know? This is going to happen, and they're going to do this in Congress, or, you know, there's a new, whatever, doctor study out there saying that, I don't know, organic foods will kill you faster than processed foods, and, yeah, don't eat them. So, yeah. It's like, okay, you were told what to think, you were told what to feel with your information that you got from 30 seconds of a news broadcast. I seriously doubt you have the big picture. Yeah. So, I don't know. I mean, when I make a decision or a judgment, indeed, I may make it based on some degree of emotion, but hopefully it's not based on what I've been force-fed by the mass media, you know? A 30-second news snippet is hardly adequate time to come to a clear understanding of a topic and to pass sound judgment on it. You know what I mean? I guess perhaps there is something to be said about how lazy we've all become, and that we're so content to sit back and be passively conditioned to feel based on what some person on the television tells us, right? So, not to mention that the continuous bombardment of tragic stories certainly hasn't helped us out by numbing us all to the point of a coma. So, yeah. So, anyway, that's my little rant against news sensationalism, at least for this week. Moving on. Let's see how much time we got left. Oh, we have actually kind of hit our time limit. Well, I'll excuse me. I'll conclude it off by saying, let's see, Cadillac drivers, people who drive Cadillac cars. Listen, I know your car is like 1.5 lanes wide. That doesn't give you permission to drive like a jerk. You ever seen a Cadillac? It's wide. Not only that, the thing drives like a boat, because I've driven a few in my time. When I think Cadillac, when I think Caddy, I think like my late grandparents, because they always had Cadillacs, right? Now, I've driven their Cadillac a few times, and I guess, yes, there is something to be said about that engineering in that car. Those cars run purty. They purr like kittens. Like, seriously, you start the motor, and you could barely feel it running. Yeah. And they're really smooth riding. They have really smooth acceleration. So, and they just, you know, you can cruise down the highway in those things and not realizing that you're going like 80 miles an hour. So, yeah, Caddies are nice cars, but I really wouldn't want to own or drive one. And not like, not regularly anyway. I wouldn't mind driving one every now and then, but I wouldn't want to own one. Yeah, so, anyway, Mr. Cadillac, I know that your obscenely wide car, which kind of drives like a boat at times, is like crazy wide. You know, and I know you paid like $1 billion for it, but seriously, you can share the road a bit. Anyway, so, that's all I have to say for this time. I'll see you guys later. Out.